Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, I should say. Getting over that mid-week. Well, I always look at it as we're getting closer to the weekend than we are far from the weekend. So I'm always looking at it that way. So happy Wednesday to everybody. My name is Candice Reyes. I am one of the founders of the Jazz Exchange, and I'll be your host this evening. For anybody who's joining us live tonight for the first time, welcome. And for those of you returning, well, we're always happy to have you here with the Jazz Exchange. We've been really busy, especially for this month. This month has been really important for us. As you all know, it's Women's History Month, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you haven't already, we always ask that you please support by liking or subscribing to our social media pages, which you see on the screen right now. You see Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and then our website is TheJazzExchange.org. So please, if you haven't done so, we always ask that, a like or a subscribe is always a big support, in many ways, so that you can stay in communication with us and, know what we're doing. So it's always helpful to have that. So thank you guys. Just to kind of give some brief updates, with our educational program, the Jazz Exchange educational program, is really focused on building bridges between communities through music education. And so in partnership with Jazz House Kids and S-Smart, we have actually brought students from our hometown, El Paso and Juarez, Chihuahua. Abel is from Juarez and I'm from El Paso. So we always get students from the hometown area to get out of the West Coast and, step into the East Coast and get the experience with the Jazz House Kids Summer Workshop. And, it's very, very important for these students to have those opportunities. Obviously, this past year, we had a virtual workshop. So Jazz House Kids had a virtual workshop where we did have students from Juarez who were joining us, virtually. And that was just as a success and also a big opportunity for some of these students. So if you'd like to know more, we always do ask that, sponsoring a student, goes a long way. It really gives them this opportunity to have this experience with the Jazz House Kids Summer Workshop. So please, if you'd like to know more, visit our website with more of that information. As you do know, we started at the very beginning when COVID hit. We started right away with the Jazz Exchange Relief Fund and have had so many supporters going and supporting. We know that you can go and support many other organizations and other, places that really need the support as well. And so we really appreciate when you think of us. And, we also know that the Exchange Live Sessions, with the Exchange Live Sessions and our virtual jazz sessions, it really supports the artists who are full-time musicians who don't get the opportunity to get unemployment, who are probably still waiting for unemployment, and still aren't having the capacity to be creative with their music. So staying home through our virtual jazz sessions, we're able to hire a lot of our musicians and the backline of, producers, mixing, mastering. We do a whole project with that. And if you'd like to see some of those projects, you can go to YouTube through our virtual jazz sessions. So if you have a chance, we do ask that you please, support the Jazz Exchange Relief Fund. So without that, we're really happy because, as you know, March is Women's History Month. And so we're excited because there's so much that we're doing for this month. And we have such a great lineup of women who will be joining us. And, each year, Women's History Month offers an important opportunity for us to shine a light on extraordinary legacies of trailblazing American women and girls who have built and shaped and improved our communities. Throughout American history, women and girls have made vital contributions, often in the face of discrimination and undue hardship. So courageous women marched for the right to vote, campaigned against injustice, shattered countless barriers, and expanded possibilities in the American life. And as we celebrate these contributions and progress of women and girls, we must also reflect on the extraordinary and unequal burdens they continue to bear today. And so during Women's History Month with Exchange Live Sessions, we're going to honor the accomplished and visionary women who have helped build our communities, and have included those who, especially those who have been a big contribution and haven't been adequately recognized or celebrated. So, this month we're going to be focusing and talking with some amazing women in our show. So, without further ado, I am super excited to bring on a very, very special guest and a good friend, and an amazing, amazing, acclaimed jazz vocalist. She is truly the trailblazer. She is the leadership. She is the entrepreneur. She really is all of it, and she has such a big passion for music and young people with Jazz House Kids. And I'm bringing on our amazing friend and wonderful Miss Melissa Walker. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
It's so good to see you.
I know. Candace, I just love you.
I love
You
you
know, what you and Abel
too.
are doing, it's fantastic. And, I kind of don't get to walk around the corner and see you and, just all the ways that we used to kind of get to hang with one another. And so this is a real pleasure.
Oh, well, look, I know you're busy doing so much with Jazz House Kids and all the things that you have contribute. You really are an inspiration, and I admire all the work and hard dedication to your organization as you kind of, built that baby from the start, and I've had the opportunity to work with you at Jazz House Kids, and have continued the relationship, and it's very important to, for those of you who don't know, I mean, Melissa is the founder, she's the president, she's the chica of Jazz House Kids.
Bottle, bottle washer.
She cleans the dishes there at the Jazz House. She sweeps. She'll do everything. Yeah, and so I mean, thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you got so many things going on, but we really appreciate you being here tonight with us.
My pleasure.
And you're
Yes,
you're tuning in from where? Cheers. That's right. Cheers to that.
you. By the way, I was going to say it had a cactus on it, but it has a palm tree.
Close enough.
Montclair, coming to you from Montclair.
Montclair, New Jersey. How is it in Montclair so far? How's it been going over there?
Well, you mean through this pandemic today? Yesterday was a little chilly, but we really love living here. Of course, I'm here with my husband Christian, our two dogs. We've been in this area together for about 16 years. Really like the community, but I'm a Canadian, so Canadian roots. I don't miss it right now in the cold. Um, you know, as a transplant from Canada, I really love living in this part of New Jersey.
That's great. I'm so glad you're close by. I know we're about maybe half an hour from you. We're in the north part of Jersey, so it might be a little cooler, but it doesn't really matter. Uh, but yeah, so
Canadian, so it's all warm to
it's all
me.
warm to you, right?
You're down there by the border, so
Yeah, I'm used to the heat.
like something a little warmer than this.
Exactly. So Melissa, I know there's so many things that I want to talk about, and especially, with all our viewers and people tuning in tonight. Just kind of really digging in and starting from the beginning. How did Jazz House come about? What sparked the initiative to just say, I want to have my own organization that's called Jazz House Kids and supporting young musicians? What really, sparked that at the beginning? How did that come about?
Well, like a lot of good things, it wasn't necessarily conceived. It was born. It came out of um, kind of an opportunity that I had with the great radio station WBGO. And many years ago, Jazz House Kids is halfway through its 18th year.
Wow.
So 20 years ago, I was singing and performing, and Gary Walker had suggested that I go on and do a kids program
Mm.
for WBGO. And at the time, I thought, well, tell me a little bit about it. But the bottom line is, they talked me into doing this, Dorthon Kirk, and I was really nervous and very trepidatious about it because, this idea, and what, 5 days before they said, oh, by the way, we don't just want a concert. Well, what do you want? They said, we really want a program. We want it to be what I now call a jazz discovery, exploration, and experience. And and then, I thought about what I love about this music. It's a little bit about what you talked about in your intro, and
Mm.
that's that it's global, that it knows no boundaries. That, quite frankly, language isn't a boundary,
Right.
geography isn't a
Right.
boundary, male female at gender isn't doesn't have to be a boundary. And I thought, well, let's talk about telling the story of the jazz house, and that kind of unfolded into what would later become our first house. Everybody put on their little virtual tool belt, and all of these kids, and we filled that tool belt with all the tools, from listening to harmony to talking about the instruments.
Mm.
And somebody was there, Mr. Bill May was there from Newark Public Schools, and he said,
Amazing.
"Oh, I love that program." I said, "What program?" That program you just did. And so, he said, "Would you come in and do it in the schools?" But when I went into elementary schools for this particular program, I was struck by how many kids had not heard live jazz before.
Mm.
That even for many of the kids, they hadn't been around instruments. That's not the kind of music that they were listening to. So they weren't meeting musicians. They weren't having that experience of listening collectively. And I just got more and more engaged. And as I got more engaged in this music, that in Newark, this storied city with so many incredible
Mm.
artists, Sarah Vaughan and Wayne Shorter come to mind. That, here was this music that started from the African American experience in America, and you have this predominantly African American community,
Mm-hmm.
and that wouldn't happen in another place. You would not know the origins of your original music. And so I really was, I had that calling to begin to bring this music into public schools, particularly in underserved schools. And I brought in fabulous musicians. And Aaron Goldberg, who's recorded and we toured, um,
Wow.
to Lon Blake, just fantastic musicians that I would get up and say, come on, let's meet at 8 in the morning. And we would do the day of residencies. And so that kind of bloomed this gap that was really missing.
Right.
Um, and this was before there was some of the programs that are out there today, some 20 years ago. And so I think it's really important in America that this music be put in the hands of young people, and absolutely in the hands of African American students, so they know part of their heritage, and for others, for them to appreciate the heritage. And then the fact that it is now global and has changed as it has reached other cultures
Yeah.
and communities. And I'm talking to the choir with you because that's what you do, but that's really
Yeah.
how this began, and the journey has now unfolded in some 50,000 students later, and countless folks like yourself. Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing that, it's one thing to have a vision, right? And I think there's a lot of us who dream about something, and one thing to say, man, one day I'm going to do this. And for you, for you to be sitting here and for you to be talking about how it just kind of bloomed into what it was because you had a vision, because you were inspired, because you were very motivated to make sure to give back to the community. I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day, and I think that's what we all admire from women such as yourself, being in that leadership and being in the community, really uh, embracing everything that it takes to continue doing this, even in the times of this pandemic. As a nonprofit, a lot of the nonprofits and small organizations and businesses have really had to push and find even more creative ways. Not that that wasn't even happening at the beginning. I mean,
Right.
that has been constantly something that I admire from, you and from many other organizations that are just having to think outside the box, having to still say, I'm going to be able to do it,
Pull
so
through.
that
Yeah.
kids and all these wonderful communities and underserved students still have this opportunity. If anything, this is the time they need us the most, if anything, during this
Well,
pandemic.
absolutely. Yeah, I think continuity is a real big part of this time in keeping the community together
Yeah,
when so much has uh, been in peril and so much has been deconstructed in our lives.
exactly.
Really, what is going to anchor us together? That's why families are Zooming together every week. They never did that before. And all of a sudden they're having dinner together every Sunday night.
Yeah.
Really, I think having a reckoning with what is important about our humanity, from our families, from our friends, from our neighbors, our communities. We're really having a reckoning, and we're also having a reckoning about whose voice gets to be heard and
Yes.
who's matter in the world we live in.
Mhm.
And we're seeing the disparity, and that's what so many of these organizations have been railing against, right, is to mend this gap and this divide. But I just want to say that I think jazz is an art form that has always had to get through the cracks.
Right.
The people who founded and created this music did it by getting through the cracks, by making improvisation its hallmark. That because what is that about? Freedom.
Yeah.
What were Africans and Americans looking for? They were looking for freedom.
Mhm.
They then created a music about freedom, and that music has helped unleash freedom from Poland, from Eastern countries, from South Africa. This music has stood for freedom. But I also want to say something about and really applaud what you're doing to give light to what women have contributed.
Mm.
Because the fact of the matter, if you want something done, well, go to a woman and scale that mountain, and
Yeah.
she will scale the next mountain. And look at right now for women in this pandemic. I was
Mhm.
just talking to a woman earlier. They're juggling their family
Yeah.
and their kids, their jobs, their homeschooling. And I don't mean that is not something shared by the whole family unit, but women have taken on a greater part of that responsibility in through all of time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason you see women coming forward, or if you look behind that curtain a little bit, you will see bold women really on the bandstand and off,
Mm.
who you can count on,
Yeah.
who you can count on to keep that community together.
Yeah.
They
Very
say
true.
in some developing countries, you want to change what's happening, you go to the women. And that's because they have no choice.
Right.
And they will succeed and follow through. And I think celebrating, but not always, women aren't always going to kind of step forward with
I
that.
agree.
And that's why I think the election of our vice president is so important,
Mm.
because women have been behind the scenes, doing heavy lifting and keeping our communities and our families together for so long,
Yeah.
that I think it is time to see more women come forward on the bandstand. And so we can bring more young women forward. And so I'm just really, love what you're doing, but I love what time it is it is time for women.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that segues into how the world has changed. It's not changing. It has changed. And I think as we continue forward and really push through, it's very important to get that it's happening. We got to move forward. We have people and idols and mentors and women who are pushing and continuing to push forward. And so I really applaud that and admire you in so many ways with, with what you're doing. And so a lot of people sometimes also just know Melissa Walker as the founder of Jazz House Kids, but let's go back a little bit and just say you were an acclaimed jazz vocalist singing at the beginning of your career and still have continued doing it. And so, how was the Melissa Walker jazz vocalist, before Jazz House Kids kind of came, about? How what was the idea? Was that something that you were thinking, I want to be full time? What was your goal? What was your vision in some of the on the as being as a vocalist?
Well, first of all, I didn't plan on being a vocalist. I went
That's
to
true.
university. I thought I was going to be a lawyer,
Really?
and worked for a big law firm in Washington D.C. when I graduated. But I had an extraordinary vocal teacher,
Mm.
uh, um, Ronnie Wells in Washington D.C. And I was studying with her, and she had a really great platform. And you would work together either as a small group or as a solo singer. And every so often, about every 3 months, you would do a performance at a club. And I got introduced to some of the great, great musicians in Washington, D.C. So shout out to the great musicians that are around this country. Because I don't care where you go, every city has incredible musicians who maybe chose to stay off the road, raise a family,
Mm.
whatever, be a postman, but, they're jamming. And I met many of those musicians, and I just began to sing more and more. And I then began to moonlight. And I was working at a law firm and I'm singing at night, just the usual. But it had a lot of, just love this music. I grew up singing as a child. I grew up taking classical when I was in junior high and high school.
Mm.
When I went to university, I was in every music vocal ensemble that I could, kind of not trained necessarily um, in the way that young people are today. And, this, I didn't think about becoming a professional singer. I just knew I had to sing.
Right.
And that's where I think for many musicians, you have got to, I just got to play, I've got to sing. And, it kind of unfolded. I met Matthias Winkelman from Enja Records that someone introduced me to. And I put out my very first cassette tape. Yes, I am aging
All
myself.
right. Hey, I love cassettes. They're good. Good.
It was called Little Wishes. And he heard that. I was singing in New York City. I'd moved. And again, I was working in a law department at Prudential. And I was moonlighting. And he signed me to the label. I was the first female singer since Abby Lincoln that he had on that label.
Wow.
And I went on tour. And we went on a number of tours in Europe because they're a German label. And I would sing at night, and then I would go to the internet cafe. Yes, I am dating myself. And I would work from about 2 a.m. to about 5 in the morning. And I would send my work back to Prudential that I needed to, because I was out for a month or
Oh
something.
my
And
gosh.
that would be, I would just continue to work and perform. And then we'd go to the next city or wherever I was going. And, I kind of split my time like that for a long time.
Wow.
But just a lot of great musicians that I worked with along the way. And, it was really kind of fascinating. But, I understand a musician that's balancing or trying to make decisions in their life
Yeah.
about, growing up thinking that you're going to do one thing, but really kind of wanting to do another.
Yeah.
But then
Definitely.
how do you make it work? Those are dilemmas I really understand. Those are the dilemmas I had personally in my life.
Well, I know we have a song that you want to share with us tonight in today's show for all our audience members, and this song is actually from your one of your albums, and it was in 2009. Melissa, was that the last album that was
That was
released?
the last one that I've done as a solo artist.
Okay, and
Yeah.
as a solo artist. Okay, so I wanna play it. It's a song by
Yeah.
Melissa Walker. It's called "I'll Sing a Song," and it's from her album "In the Middle of It All." And so let's turn up our volumes here, everybody, and let's take a listen to Melissa Walker with this wonderful band, and she'll let us know who's on the band.
The children have so much to give when they are free. The house we have should be a home for you and me. Well, I'll sing a song that will forever touch us lovingly. So please let's live our lives as a family. I saw your smile one time, I knew it was for real. Please smile once more and let me feel that way again. For it's just a smile. I never knew how much it meant to me. Sincerely, please help me do that just for you. I'll sing a song that makes the whole world feel the fear of losing love that's so endeared. A song of love that's always so sincere. It makes the world stand up and cheer. So darling, please, I want you to remember this. Each time you see me give a kiss, this is the love I have always missed. For you I'm grateful for. So much to give when they are free. The house we have should be a home for you and me. Well, I'll sing, and I'll sing a song that will forever touch us lovingly. So please let's live our lives as a family. I saw your smile one time, I knew it was for real. Please smile once more and let me feel that way again. For it's just a smile. I never knew how much it meant to me. Sincerely, please help me do that just for you. I'll sing a song that makes the whole world feel the fear of losing love that's so endeared. The song of love that's always so sincere. It makes the world stand up and cheer. So darling, please, I want you to remember this. Each time you see me give a kiss, this is the love I have always missed. For you I'm grateful for you. Yes, I'm grateful for you. Yes, you. I'm grateful for you.
Woo! Yeah. What
Thank
a
you.
great song. What a great I love that song. That's
That is by a tremendous, tremendous writer. His name is Tex Allen. I've recorded a number of his pieces. Um,
wow.
he's just a gifted composer. He's a trumpeter. And I, had the great pleasure of being introduced to him. And, the body of his music is it's just beautiful. It's fully composed.
I love it.
They're just and he also writes a lot of the lyrics and or works with someone, and so I've recorded over the years a number of his pieces. So
That's great. And who is on this album, Melissa? Do you know?
yeah, so Aaron Goldberg,
Woo.
as I was saying, dragged in and out of the schools and on the bandstand. We did many tours together on piano.
Wow.
Not on that piece, but Gregoire Moret on harmonica, and just plays on a number of selections. It's really tremendous. Christian, my husband, and
I had a feeling.
I'll never forget being in the studio, and my musical director said, enjoy this because it's not going to quite sound the same, some of these pieces, because, just Christian put his touch on it. And on some of the pieces had guitar and on them. And so we had Adam Rogers. And then my musical director for many, many years, Clarence Penn, and did a lot of the arranging and producing of these projects.
Wow. I mean, this was like I loved the song. I loved your voice. I loved the whole, like you just said, it's a through compose this song. It just really like the balance of the overall, and then having I actually think Christian's he said I'm joining in from the basement, tuning in live from the basement. So shout out to Christian McBride who's joining us tonight. Also, but I mean all those wonderful artists and having it starts going into this you being the female vocalist, the band leader, really taking the band into this other element when as a vocalist it's just this great it's this great like part of being a vocalist, right? To really just be with the band that really can back you up, but then also that really helps you or follows you as a vocalist. So I could really I got to listen to this whole album. I have to listen to this whole album. I've heard two of the songs from this album, but I got to check out the whole album. So I think everyone else does too.
Yeah.
So I'm even curious as the touring, as the jazz house kids kind of thing started coming about. I think one of the things that I've seen that has been amazing is that you've been able to still continue to have your passion for music and the passion for helping young students and young people in not only just in the Montclair area and in the New Jersey, New York area, and now virtually, globally, all around the world. And so you have done so much with Jazz House Kids that annually you have your, Montclair Jazz Festival, um, that has been, a huge success every year, and has been one, I do have to tell you the story. It's like when Abel and I first moved to New Jersey,
Yeah.
Montclair Jazz Festival was the first jazz festival we attended
Oh, is
ever.
that right?
Ever. Yeah, we just looked online, or we had just moved to New
Right.
Jersey, and we said, man, we there has to be some kind of jazz festivals, or we didn't know what was going on. And so as soon as, like, we looked it up, there's a jazz festival. It's called the Montclair Jazz Festival. Oh, cool. Let's check it out. We ended up going to it and watching you. You had Jose James as a
Oh, yeah.
special guest, and
Yeah.
Paquito de Rivera on
Yes.
clarinet.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
also had oh, well, it was Christian's big band, and you
Right.
sang. And I was
I
just like, this is amazing.
will
One,
not do it again.
yeah,
Singing, running a festival, and an organization all in one day is a recipe to just, like,
yeah.
fall over.
I mean, I think later on I found out that you were Jazz House Kids, and you were like along with Christian, were all part of what made the festival. And it was just so amazing to be part of that experience, like just really being the first outdoor festival. It was amazing. It felt like very local and homey, away from home. That's something that I always cherished. And then, let's fast forward a year later, I end up working for, with Jazz House Kids, and I really got to get into the depth of what you all do as an organization. And like I said, it's always been an admiration that I truly love, and I really, it was wonderful, and it's wonderful to be part of it. And it's still, I know you're doing a lot, and there's still, I know you're being creative in so many ways for upcoming events and things that are, that are happening with Jazz House Kids. But what are the things that have been, I shouldn't say challenges. What are some of the things that you're thinking of moving forward slowly, as things are opening up slowly? How is that kind of going about, Melissa?
Yeah. Wow. You know, we missed one day as an organization, Sunday, March 15th. And yes, we're usually open on Sunday. We have our pre college program. So, fast forward from this, doing a little program at a church in Newark for WBGO schools, and just growing over time. And I think so many of these, there's just the life lessons, right? One step after another, working hard, being diligent, creating partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and you just move through this, and you learn, you make mistakes, you gain champions, ambassadors. When you came to the Jazz House, you were a game changer. You allowed us to do things that we weren't doing before, and you brought your personality and your can-do spirit, and off we
Oh.
lifted up plateau to another level, and it goes forward. I think today, we've pivoted everything that we could online, and now we're really, and with that, gained a new audience, expanded our audience, able to reach people that we weren't reaching before.
Mm,
So many of us have seen that,
yeah.
um, and we're forever changed because of that. But we're also focused on really getting back together again, and
Yes.
getting kids in the classroom with their peers, um, with their teachers, is really, really important. That they've looked at the studies, they've heard from young people, they feel that they're not as close to teachers as they were. They feel a gap there. They
Mm-hmm.
feel isolated in ways that they didn't before. They feel disengaged. It's harder to get them to kind of work in the ways they would. We've got to get them back together and back in person. And so while I think we will always use the online platform because it has been amazing to around the world and touch people, but people need to be touched in a real sense
Mm.
live, and there's nothing to replace that. And so for the Jazz House, we're planning the 2021 Montclair Jazz Festival. We will have an in-person fest. Uh,
Wow, that's awesome.
and we're going to make sure it is, safe, and we're planning it in concert with our community and local authorities to really make sure that we do all the things that we need to do. We will come this summer, we will have a summer program. Part of it will be in person, some will be hybrid. But we're very, very committed to that. So I think the role of being online will have a very good role. It will. So for us, it allows a student who wants to take some music Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, who maybe their parents can't drive them to the Jazz House. So it will be there for them.
That's great.
It will be there for students from El Paso who want to come to the Jazz House.
Yay.
It will be there for them. For our students who are participating in Italy, it will be there for them.
Yep.
And so it will have a role, but just like everyone around the world, we are people who are social people,
Yeah.
and we really need to come back together again. And a lot has been lost, and Jazz House really wants to help with that.
Mm.
We have a program for special needs, our kids with special needs. What has been lost for them in our, urban centers and underserved community schools.
Mm-hmm.
The digital divide is not the same as some of our students from more affluent communities. So we've got a lot of work to make up. And, when they say that they think students will have lost, 18 months, that's really significant. So Jazz House wants to be there, want to be there to help do what we always do, which is bridge the gap, bring community, boost achievement through music. And
Definitely.
so, we're focused on it. So now we're kind of just looking at different scenarios
That's great.
that will allow us to, you know, um, get back in person, yet use this incredible platform,
Yeah.
this online platform at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to that and very excited and looking forward to hearing more the Montclair Jazz Festival for 2021. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, and so going back to being at the jazz festival and hearing you all for the first time, um, you know, in case anybody hasn't realized yet, Melissa is married to Christian McBride, the renowned bassist and amazing person. First of all, and Christian has done a lot of work with Jazz House Kids, and some of our students from El Paso as well have really been admiring just the overall with Melissa and Christian, the dynamic duo. This team really has made a big difference with this organization and with the workshop. And so, with that aside, you've had, I know you've had the opportunity and had, some time to record and play with Christian's big band. And I know that's another selection that we wanted to share tonight. But I'm gonna let Melissa talk a little bit more about this next song that we want to share that you were on with Christian McBride's big band.
Yeah. Well, I've just got to say, just kind of taking it from the Jazz House perspective, what Christian has brought to this organization, in terms of just the humanity, the ambassador, always available to students, our faculty,
Yeah.
just, even our staff, one of our, he'll walk in and he'll say to one of our staff members, "Okay, Jennifer, come on, belt out that, what Broadway tune do you want to play?" I mean, he's just this person who sees just the greatness of people
Yeah,
and helps bring it out. And
definitely.
I think that, and you know, the number of artists, and you've certainly seen it personally, that he has introduced to the Jazz House
Yeah.
to mentor and to be a role model. You know, our late great Chick Corea, you know, amongst them, and you know, so many others. So,
Yeah.
you know, Jazz House is in terms of having the ability to get to see the greatest artists up close and in person in the way has been our greatest gift. But you know, I think he would be the first to say that it's this community of staff and board and donors that have wrapped their arms around this organization. So every once in a while, I get the opportunity to really go back into my roots of this music. And when Christian started his big band, that has been one of my secret wishes of all time, was to get to play in a big band. I wanted to um, play in one forever. I thought, you know, the big band is just that beautiful instrument, that powerful instrument, and the swinging nature that we usually hear it in. And so I always thought that, man, you know, I'd love to sing a big band. And didn't grow up with that opportunity, didn't have one in our school or anything like that, didn't have one at college. So, you know, I asked him if I could kind of audition. So he'd laugh with that, but you know, I was hoping he'd let me sing in the band. And we've toured and performed. He's done, you know, adaptations of arrangements that I've done. He's done new arrangements. It's such an incredible band, and it's such a really incredible family of people.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know, musicians are very fascinating people, and so they're you know, a tremendous group to be on stage with and off stage. I mean, we've done tours through Europe, and
That's
it's been
amazing.
a delight. We've done a couple of days in China. You know, people usually kind of keep it together, and then you jump on the stage and that powerhouse music. So we've done two records together,
That's awesome.
and Christian won two Grammys, and the big band won two Grammys for each. And I've just had the pleasure of, you know, being a part of that. You know, that part of that legacy of the big band in the I mean, and his big band is doing, it's, you know, it has a wide, like Christian,
Mm-hmm.
has a wide body of music, but it is definitely steeped in the blues, and it's steeped in swing, and then it goes out from there. So I think this piece that you are going to play is one of those adaptations
Mm. Okay.
of a very, very popular song that, you know, has gone through the Beatles,
Yeah.
you know, it's gone through, you know, one of the greatest living artists, you know, around has performed that song, you know, so it is first arranged by Clarence Penn for me on a small group album. And then Christian took it and made it for the big band. And I really love it.
That's awesome. Well, let's.
It really doesn't need any introduction
I,
because everybody knows it when they hear it.
yep. Let's turn it up, and here we go.
I knew a man, Bojangles, and he danced for you in worn out shoes, silver hair, and ragged shirt and baggy pants. He would do the old soft shoe, and he would jump so high, jump so high. Then he'd lightly touch down. He told me of the times he worked the minstrel shows, traveling throughout the South. Well, he spoke of tears of 15 years, how his dog and he, they would travel about. But his dog up and died. Yes, his dog up and died. And after 20 years, he still breathes. He said he'd dance now at every jam and honky-tonk. I dance for my drinks and tips, but most of the time I stay behind these county bars. 'Cause you see, well, I drinks a bit. Then he shook, when he shook his head, Lord, when he shook his head, I swear I heard someone say, please, please. You know that's Mr. Bojangles. Call him Mr. Bojangles. You know that's Mr. Bojangles. Come back and dance 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 and dance. He said he'd dance now at every jam and honky-tonk. I dance for my drinks and tips, but most of the time I stay behind these county bars. 'Cause you see, well, you see, I drinks a bit. Then he shook, when he shook his head, Lord, when he shook his head, I swear I heard someone say, please, please. That's Mr. Bojangles. They call him Mr. Bojangles. You know that's Mr. Bojangles. Come back and dance 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 and dance. Come on and dance and dance and dance and dance and dance and dance and dance. Mr. Bojangles. dance and dance and dance and dance. Oh, we want to see you dance.
Woo! Man, you're swinging, Melissa. I mean, the
Steve
band's swinging.
Davis on that as well on trombone.
Who was that?
Steve Davis on trombone there. So
Bravo. Wow. If you all were
And,
just barely tuning in, you know, I'm sure you were swinging halfway even then, because that was the great Melissa Walker on vocals, and
Thank you.
featured with Mr. Christian McBride Big Band. Who's on drums in that band?
Quincy Phillips, and is he not? He's dancing.
Yep, I hear him dancing, and that's the thing, man. That's and again, congratulations to Christian and you and the band for winning a Grammy on this. I mean, it's such a great album. Man, it's one of those albums that I put it on even when I'm like, man, I gotta do chores. I better put on something swinging so I could dance, and I'm gonna be going and swinging and dancing and mopping and cleaning, and it's one of those things that I love this album, and so thank you for sharing that with us. And Christian's actually putting it on the chat. He said trombone was actually Joe Donahue.
Thanks,
Was it
Joe McDonough.
Joan McDonough? All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you
what?
for that.
Usually Steve plays it when we're out on the road, but that's
Yeah,
good.
I know there's so many amazing musicians that are with Christian's big band. But yeah, shout out to Christian and the band and you. I mean, what a great album. So if you all haven't checked it out, I'll put it in the chat so you all can, go support it, purchase it, buy it, download it, get everything you need for some swinging time. That's all I gotta say.
And all I can say is, I think the greatest artist who ever touched that song really is one of our greatest artists, and that's Sammy Davis Jr.
Yep.
So, just one of the, I think, most tremendously talented musicians ever to walk the planet. We kind of think of him sometimes in one area or the other, maybe just as a comedian, but
definitely.
I think who did not fall in love with that version that he did of Jeff Walker's, I think Jeff Walker's tune Bojangles, but that's kind of, I always wanted to do it. Clarence he just made it dance, and then Kristen made it dance for a big band.
I loved it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I see with that if Christian and you guys ever play that again, ever live or do it again, all you need is that tap dancer. And you just like,
right?
I mean, Quincy was really doing that. Yeah, Quincy was doing that. But I mean, I could totally see, like, if we, just like in the back in the time, like at the Harlem, or the Cotton Club or something, like, I could totally see that, happening live. That's so awesome.
So I think now you're saying, Kristen, let's get a dance and go out on the road too.
Yeah. Add a dancer to that. Man, why not, right? Just, it's easy. Just add another person to the big band.
Although, he loves tap and he certainly loves dance. So, that's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Jerry Jeff Walker, so that's secret.
Definitely. Yeah. So again, if you all are barely tuning in, I have the wonderful, the amazing, the lovely Miss Melissa Walker, as we are, focusing and highlighting these beautiful women and trailblazers who have done so much for our community. And, we're just talking about so many things and accomplishments, challenges, things we're always facing and pushing forward. And so, somebody like Melissa has done that, and her and her husband, Christian, have been such a admiration for a lot of musicians and couples and young students, who are out there. And so I got to do some shout outs, because there are some people here tuning in from different places here. I know we have Elena Valenzuela, who is one of the she's the Barry sax player that was one of our alumni that went to Jazz House Summer Workshop. So she's tuning in tonight. Thank you. And we have Lisa Ronquillo. We have Raul Urias, Bob McGee. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we're just here supporting, talking with some amazing women for this full month
You
of
also,
March.
you also have the Whitakers,
Oh, yeah. May Whitaker. I didn't see that.
May, and and Moses, and
Vincent Gardner's watching. Hello.
Maddie Whitaker, the great pianist and organist Maddie Whitaker might be.
Yeah.
So hey,
Matthew Whitaker, who was alumni of yours at Jazz House Kids. So let's go into that. I think that is another thing, that I think has been such a great asset to Jazz House Kids is your alumni and the kids and the students that started with you, Melissa, since the beginning, and now you see them going off and playing in Juilliard and all the MSM and all these amazing schools, and even outside of New York, doing
yeah,
so many great things, and just really being part of how Jazz House really embraces them, and coming back, staying connected, really giving that support to them. How has it been with virtually? Have you been able to reach more alumni through virtual?
yeah. We haven't done it since maybe this summer, but we put together a number of alumni
Oh,
conversations,
cool.
and try having a conversation with 75, 80 alums, checking in. So when we kind of went into lockdown, a lot of them, all of a sudden were found themselves at home in their childhood bedroom. They were, and imagine that as an adult, where you were when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and kind of looking at the world blooming in front of you. Instead, it was constricting. And so, a few of our alums reached out and said, would you help bring us back together, and we could have a series of conversations? And we did. We hosted a series of Saturday conversations and
Wow.
set up a steering committee. And this group of young people went out, and we had a series of conversations. We even had one on get out the vote, and we brought on special guests to really talk about civic engagement, why this was their time to let their voice be heard. We shared music on other occasions. They talked about networking. So it's something that I think the Jazz House would like to, see formalize, even more, because I think there's, we've given a number of alums some of their first jobs, right? They come back as teaching every summer. We hire teaching assistants, and it's a paid position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, working with us is a young person, Gallo Inga, who started, in one of the Newark schools that we were in when he was in ninth grade. Went to college. We gave him a job while he was in college, and his first job as an adult. We've done that over and over again. We have another young man. His name is Carlos. He's now in the service, looking to play for in one of the Army bands. A
Wow.
great trumpeter. And so we really feel that we are that place for young people. And I use that on and off the bandstand because it is so important to be able to take care of business while on the bandstand, but also really live and be a solid citizen, be a part of your community, be healthy, and all of the things that means. And so they, with our faculty, they see people who have moved in their world, have embraced this music, made a life in music, and yet are just really beautiful folks, and that's what we wanted to show each and every day. So it's fun to see someone like Maddie, who came to the Jazz House when he was 7, and I remember at 7, like jaw was dropping, and so many other young people. We did something with one of our supporters and great jazz fans. His name is Ralph Pucci, and we have an event with him soon. But he has a wonderful gallery, special furniture gallery in New York. And yesterday we featured, Wally Jr.
That's
Wally,
right. Oh
exactly.
man, that's
Yeah,
great. That's great. And if you all don't know who they are, please go and check that out. Go to I put some of the information on the chat.
great.
And go check the website out. See who's part of it. See who's there. And it's always important to support these uh, emerging artists that are having these opportunities and slowly building their career in so many ways. So it's always great to have that. So thank you so much for that, Melissa.
Yeah,
Now, because we're in the topic of women and girls and
yeah,
really empowering young females, I know you also have another program that really embraces today's or this whole month's theme of empowering, bringing women to the forefront, making that change happen. And I know this is with the Chica Power. Can you tell us
yeah.
a little bit more about Chica Power?
Well, it's a program. It's called Chica Power. It started about 10 years ago. Its motto is "Rise and Improvise." And there was a young, I've told this story many times, but a young lady who's now out on the scene today. Her name is Zoe Abadia, and she was in our top big band many years ago. And I remember having a conversation with her about that experience. And here was this very accomplished um, young lady playing the heck out of her alto sax, and respected by the whole band. And I asked her, Zoe, how are you enjoying the experience? Or tell me about the big band, or, just asked her how she was doing. And without hesitation, she said, well, I wish there were more girls.
Mm,
That's not what I expected to hear from her as somebody who was a leader in the band and thought she was going to tell me about the music or whatever it was, but without hesitation. And what I realized was that, um, Zoe was alone.
mm-hmm.
She did not have her peeps with her. She did not have a community. While she had a community of musicians, she didn't have a community of young women. And, we don't really excel when you don't have someone that you can follow and someone you can learn from and
Right,
someone who looks like you.
right.
When I looked around the jazz house, I had to say, there are not a lot of people that look like Zoe and some of the other young women. And so out of that came, like so much at the jazz house, was, well, we can either just open our door and say, well, they're not here because they're not here. And that's just not good enough.
Yeah.
So we built a program that is it creates a safe haven for young girls to explore this music and to have peers and to have role models. We only bring in professional jazz musicians, and so they know what it's like to see a male jazz musician. They may not know what it's like to see a female jazz musician or have an instructor. And so that's what we do, and it's called Chica Power. And we have been able to increase the number of young women by about 250%, 300% over the years.
Wow.
We've been able to move what was about, under 10% to, over 30%. We're not there yet, but that has taken kind of concerted effort to get there. And what has been so fascinating is that they then come back, and they are a role model to and help bring up kind of the next group of young women. And so there are many young women who are out on the scene today that went through Chica Power, and they're you know either at a school and playing, or one of the young women is becoming a police officer. Another young woman is going to be
Wow.
going into cybersecurity, and others are becoming professional musicians, and they're out there playing, and they're out and they have this community from Jazz House. And if you kind of go to their social media, you'll just see this community that they grew up with. So they go to each other's gigs, and I just, kind of pinch me because it's the ecosystem that I think makes good things happen in the world.
Right.
And we can really build an ecosystem that has young people coming through it that are engaged with generations older than them to give them training, advice, mentor, or just to observe. And then you have peers, right?
Yeah.
The most powerful group to have positive experiences with and share that. You begin to foster a community of really, positive and, well-balanced young people who are going to help move this world we live in forward. And Chica Power is a part of that ecosystem.
Wow. I mean, I've seen it. I've been a part of it. What you say is really, what you are doing, and really being part of how that growth of the change, and really bringing that forefront of women who, and young girls who, are the only ones in their bands, only ones in the bandstand, only ones going, in certain, bands that they are the female, and so really having that conversation, first of all, is important. And then to see all the amazing, female professional musicians that you bring on to the staff, to lead these women, are naturally their mentors. They naturally become their mentors, and I've seen that work done. And if it's just been great. And so I know we want to show a video so that our audience members tonight can get a little bit more in depth of some of these young women who have been part of Chica Power, and kind of giving their story. And so I'm going to share a video with everyone tonight of Chica Power. And so you'll get to know a little bit more on that, and then we'll talk some more, Melissa.
There was a lot of guys that were playing drums. I was shy. I was afraid to play. I thought I'd never get my shot or never get my chance.
In my band program, there are only 2 female musicians.
I didn't know that a woman could be a leader in jazz.
Boys are told more often that it's okay to make a mistake. Girls are told that you don't want to fail, you want to be perfect.
Being a male in jazz is so normalized. For a female to be in the jazz world, it takes a little more courage.
Whisper, you guys nailed it under Anna's break. Just wanted to put that out there.
Because I ended up going to Chica Power, they have encouraged me to push past what other people would like for me to believe.
Chica Power is a program that was started at the Jazz House to help more girls get involved in instrumental jazz, but it's also a mindset of female empowerment and female involvement in jazz.
If you make a mistake, be strong no matter what. Be loud and proud whether you're right or wrong.
Chica Power is a group of women and girls telling you that it's okay to fail. It's really just a support system that picks you back up and helps you succeed at the end of the day. We have a lot of people who are actually involved in the jazz world come and speak to us about their experiences.
And it does encourage young females to see musicians that look like them.
I'm excited.
They're always very, very encouraging, and they tell you, you can do it. You guys are the start of a new era.
If you're a girl and you want to play an instrument, you walk into a room of people playing jazz, and you're the only girl there. I would sort of ask myself, what am I doing here?
Yeah, we could do what they can do, but we're at the same level as they are.
It's good, because girls need the spotlight.
Has anybody recorded in a studio like this before?
Never. Today we are recording for the Jazz House Kids album.
This is a full band with women. Not a lot of people have heard that before.
And so to be able to see other instrumentalists that share the same craft as I do is very empowering and encouraging, and I love every bit of it.
1, 2, 1, 2,
I have more confidence in myself to go out there and be a leader, and I really do think that it will change who's in jazz in the future.
It has the possibility to really change the face of young musicians who are going into the jazz world, and you're seeing more women get involved.
Society will tell you different things all day, but it's just what you think of yourself is more important than how somebody else may view you.
Nice job, you guys.
I said, ooba-doo-ya-da-bin-doo with pride. Ooba-doo-ya-da-bin-doo, let's take a ride in the land of oobla-dee, oobla-dee.
Wow, that was amazing, Melissa. Just to see that video, really inspiring to see all the girls, and their stories, and what Jazz House Kids and Chica Power program really has accomplished and done for a lot of these young women. So bravo and kudos to you for all the hard work and really bringing that, forefront and that topic, up front, because it's important. It's needed. It's something that not a lot of girls even know about. And so, how, if there are any girls, young women watching, or young females who are in a band, play music, haven't even thought of it, but maybe are willing to do it, is there some way they can be part of this, Melissa? What are some of the upcoming or anything new with Chica Power?
Yeah, well, we've got a program coming up at the end of March for Chica Power. I'd love to have them. We're going to just contact Jazz House Kids, but Daniela Gonzalez, if we put her in there, and we'll sign them up for the program. In the fall, we will run what we usually do in the spring, but we are going to wait till the fall because we are going to make it in person. But so we will have a Chica Power session in this month. Over the summer, when we do our summer workshop and our programs, we run Chica Power sessions, and those allow, and those are opportunities where we bring in professional, it'll be online or in person in the summer, but we bring in professionals to come play, talk to them, and work with them as musicians, answer questions about their life and about this music. And then in the fall, we will run our free residency program. It's a 7-week program that we will kick off. We also will run a leadership summit, which we run as part of that, where we invite women from other fields, other underrepresented fields, to come and talk to the young women about how they move through an environment such as this, and just to show them some of the other possibilities in terms of fields and careers. And so again, if somebody isn't around, you can always get me at mwalker@jazzhousekids.org or D Gonzalez at jazzhousekids.org, and we will give them information about Chica Power. And we'd love to see that there's some fantastic young women. There's a lot more young women who are playing than ever before. And it's changed our community, and our faculty really appreciate the diversity. Our students do. Matter of fact, I remember not too long ago, one student said, wait a minute, where's Chica Power? Just kind of like, where are the girls? In other words, there's an expectation that we should have a diverse community and a diverse group of students on the bandstand. And so as we are this incubator of talent, it's important that the talent be open and the doors be open for a lot of different young people.
And just so you all know, I mean, some of these amazing, guests and faculty, are from like Camille Thurman, Ingrid Jensen, Dee Dee Bridgewater. I mean, amazing, Jennifer Vincent, Nikki Denner. I mean, you name it. I mean,
Lauren Levion.
Yeah, it's all these amazing trailblazing women, who are in the industry, who are talking to these young females.
You can just think about them.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm thinking about literally so many, and that are the new mentors to these young females. So it's really a great program, and it's something that really highlights, especially this month, focusing on how, empowering young women, since from the beginning, and it should start at a young age. And
absolutely.
And that's where Chica Power comes in. So if you want to know information, I have put that in the chat. And so you can follow, Jazz House Kids and go to the Chica Power. You can also send an email if you want more information to Daniela Gonzalez, which I put that email there on the chat as well. So Melissa, I know, for those people tuning in, we always, besides having a special guest and really, digging in and giving support, we always reach out to a local business that, supports or that needs that extra support, or, just to bring awareness of local businesses. And since Jazz House Kids does so much things, it's so many events and things that happen and that you all do. Today we're going to be giving away a few free tickets, and I want Melissa to give us, thank you first of all to we're really honored that you're even giving us a free tickets to a special event that's coming up. So I just wanted to let Melissa give you a little wind on what's going to be given away. Yep.
Just where they're called Inside the Jazz Note. And he has conversations with Christian. So it's a takeoff on his own XM radio, the Lowdown Conversations with Christian. So once a year, we do a Ralph Pucci event. So it's going to be on March 31st. And Christian invites a special guest to come and talk and play. They're going to be going into Ralph Pucci's studio in a few weeks. And they're going to be backed by a number of our alums. So we're happy to see that Isaiah Thompson, another great pianist, will be playing. Zoe Abadia, Zach Edelman, and Julian Lee, four really strong and incredible musicians on the scene today. And we have with us Wynton Marsalis. Woo. And Wynton, he's an incredible conversationalist, wide-ranging. He's very passionate about jazz and jazz education, and this ecosystem that we're talking about, and jazz, the role it plays in the world. And I think they'll really talk about really the role it can play today.
Yeah.
And so that's going to happen. The broadcast is going to be on the 31st of March. And so we've got some tickets that we gave you, and just love for your listeners to come on, and they're complimentary tickets, and join us. And then they'll get a link, and that link is live through the weekend. So I think they've got about 4 days to check out the show, check out the musicians, the conversation, and the concert. So this is our 5th annual Ralph Pucci Jazz Set, hosted by Christian, and it's called Conversations with Christian.
Man, that is awesome. I'm gonna post it up here on our screen. So earlier I was posting it, but I know we couldn't hear Melissa earlier, but we did get some information. And just to mention, Melissa, we recently had a friend of ours, a close friend of ours, of my parents, back in El Paso. His name was Freddie Valles, and he played trumpet, and he was a local El Pasoan. And I would say 2018, him and his wife came down to El Paso, and they're very good friends of my parents. And who, by the way, they're on tuning in live with us, and they say hello.
Mom and Dad.
And when we actually he recently passed away from COVID-19, and back in the day, I think he became really good friends with Winton, and Winton gave him a trumpet. He gave him a Monet trumpet, and he stayed, connected with him. And, because, I don't know how the relationship happened. I think he's been an educator and stuff like that. And he recently passed away, I would say last week. And so, Winton actually reached out to the family and did, a very nice, speech.
Wow.
and said how Freddie Valles, was a great friend of his. And so I know Winton has done so much in many ways, for that. And so it's really been such a big, big loss, but also great to see that, Winton Marsalis and Christian are going to be having these conversations. And so anybody who's tuning in, tonight, we're going to give away, and I'm going to post that right here. So we're going to be giving away 2 tickets to, and I'm sorry, I had put March 18th, but it's March 31st. And we're going to give away 2 tickets to our guests tuning in tonight. And so the way we're going to do that is we're actually going to have all our guests or audience members pick a number from 1 through 100. And our special guest, Miss Melissa, here tonight is going to be the lucky drawer. And so she's going to pick 2 numbers. Yeah, there you go. You love that. You love all that. So she's going to be picking 2 numbers. And let me go back here so we can make sure we hear Melissa and see her. But yeah, so everybody please in the chat put a number 1 through 100.
Wow.
Put your number 1 through 100, and if you can actually, post that in the chat, Melissa's going to call out a number, and
All right.
And then so before she even looks at the chat, she won't look at the chat. So drum roll, everybody, please put a number in the chat. So we got, I was going to say the numbers. I was like, so we got number, but we can't say it yet here. Post your number in the chat, and Melissa will be picking 2 numbers from from her mind, or whatever lucky number she has tonight. And so we got a few people posting their numbers, and then this will be a link that's going to be shared to you all, so you don't have to, it's not in person, you don't have to be present in person, but yes, please put in a thing here. All right, so lucky numbers, and as people are putting in their numbers, Melissa, pick 2 numbers
All right.
that you would like to
I'm typing them in. What am I doing?
no, you're just calling them out.
I'll call
You're
them
gonna
out.
call them out, and then we'll be reaching out to our lucky
All
guests.
right. And are you ready?
I'm ready. Drum roll.
For that drum roll. Yes. And number 77.
Okay. And one more number.
Number 25.
25. All right. So we will be in communication with any of our 2 lucky winners for tonight. But Melissa, again, thank you so much for your time. thank you so much for all the stories, the amazing work that you continue to do. We as the Jazz Exchange are happy to be partnering up with Jazz House Kids, and being part of the team. And Abel and I really admire you and Christian, and have been you know some mentors of ours without even thinking that you have been played a big role in our lives and decisions and things that we do. So I'm glad that we're able to work together. Thank you for all the hard work, the overtime that people don't see you doing late at night, early in the mornings. And again, I cheers to you and Christian and everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate you being here with us tonight. So thank you, Melissa. We will be in touch. And again, for all of you tuning in, go to Jazz House Kids, check out what they're doing, and we'll be in touch soon.
You're doing an amazing job at Jazz Exchange and everything. What you've done and the number of young people that you and Abel have helped move along. Just bravo to you.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see the next summer crop of great musicians.
Yes.
Every time I get them, I'm like, who's that music? Oh, well, that's Abel and Candace.
Thank you.
Really, you guys are doing great work, touching lives, bringing another part of the country into the fold in this music. And we are really honored to partner with you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Again, everyone, please tune in, check them out, support Jazz House Kids in any way you can. Go and check out some of their live streams, check out their Facebook, Instagram, and we'll be in communication. I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you again, Melissa. Have a wonderful night, and thank you to everybody who was tuning in
Thank
tonight.
you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be with you all this evening.
Bye.
Bye.